The paradox of trying hard to sleep. The more you struggle, the less you sleep. Have you ever lain in bed, desperately willing yourself to fall asleep, only to find that sleep becomes more elusive with every passing minute? If so, you've encountered one of the most perplexing and frustrating truths about sleep. The harder you try to fall asleep, the harder it becomes. This is the paradox of sleep, that in trying so desperately to control the process, we inadvertently sabotage it. Imagine standing in front of a mirror, trying to make your reflection appear faster. The more you focus, the more distorted your reflection becomes. Now, replace the mirror with your bed and the reflection with sleep itself. The more you focus on the fact that you're not sleeping, the more your mind and body resist. It's as if your subconscious is saying, "Nope, not yet," even as you desperately wish it would just happen. This paradox is rooted in our biology and psychology. When we're lying awake, anxious about our lack of sleep, our brain perceives this as a threat. Our body's natural survival instinct kicks in, preparing us to stay alert, to be ready for danger. This response involves releasing stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, which heighten alertness and inhibit the relaxation needed for sleep. Essentially, our mind and body are caught in a tug of war, one side pulling for rest, the other pulling to stay awake. Now, here's where the paradox deepens. The more you try to force yourself into sleep by counting sheep, tossing and turning, telling yourself, "I must sleep now," the more your nervous system ramps up. You become hyper focused on your sleeplessness, creating a feedback loop that keeps you awake longer. It's a vicious cycle. Struggle breeds wakefulness, and wakefulness breeds more struggle. But why does this happen? Evolutionarily, our brains are wired to remain vigilant when they perceive threat or vulnerability. When lying in bed, if your mind interprets this as a sign of weakness or danger, perhaps because you're anxious about an upcoming event or simply frustrated, it triggers the fight or flight response. This response is designed to keep you safe, but in the context of sleep, it's counterproductive. It's exactly what prevents sleep from happening. So, what's the solution? The answer isn't to try harder. In fact, trying too hard is the very thing that keeps sleep out of reach. Instead, we need to embrace the opposite approach: surrender, acceptance, and patience. We have to learn how to stop fighting against sleep and start cooperating with it. This might sound counterintuitive. How do you try less when your body is wired to be awake? It begins with shifting your mindset. Instead of viewing sleep as an enemy or a task to be completed, see it as a gentle guest, arriving when the time is right. Think of sleep as a natural, effortless process, one that doesn't require force, but rather trust. One powerful technique is called sleep surrender. This involves consciously letting go of the struggle. When you notice yourself lying awake, instead of obsessing over falling asleep, acknowledge your wakefulness without judgment. Tell yourself, "It's okay to be awake right now. My body knows what to do." This attitude of acceptance relaxes the nervous system and reduces stress hormones, paving the way for sleep. Practicing mindfulness, meditation can also be transformative. By observing your thoughts and sensations without attachment, you detach yourself from the mental noise that keeps you awake. Focus on your breath. Inhale slowly, exhale fully, and let your mind settle. Over time, This practice trains your brain to remain calm, even in the face of wakefulness, reducing the paradoxical resistance. Deep breathing exercises are another effective tool. Slow diaphragmatic breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest system, counteracting the stress response. For example, breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 4, then exhale for 4. Repeat this cycle, allowing your body to relax more deeply with each breath. This simple practice can break the cycle of struggle, making it easier for sleep to arrive naturally. Creating a calming pre sleep environment is equally vital. Dim the lights, turn off screens at least an hour before bed, and avoid stimulating activities. Instead, engage in relaxing routines, reading a book, listening to soothing music, or gentle stretches. These rituals signal to your brain that it's time to wind down, reducing anxiety and fostering acceptance of the sleep process. Now, let's talk about mindset shifts. Instead of obsessing over how much sleep you're getting or how long it's taking, focus on the quality of your relaxation. Trust that your body knows what to do. Remember, sleep is a natural, the identity mirror paradox. You wake up one morning and everything seems normal, your room, your thoughts, your memories. But someone knocks at the door. It's you. Same face, same voice, same memories. They claim to be the real you and say you are the copy. You both know everything about each other. You remember the same birthday, the same scar on your left leg, and even that embarrassing secret you've never told anyone. Neither of you can prove who the original is, and both of you feel like you're the genuine person. But here's the twist. You were created last night. One of you is a perfect replica made by an advanced machine, down to the neurons in the brain and the electrical impulses of thought. But the machine doesn't remember which came first. Now, you both exist, and both of you are convinced that you are the original. The paradox lies in identity. What does it mean to be you? Is it memory, consciousness, continuity of time? If your consciousness can be copied exactly, is the copy you, or just a very good fake? If there is no objective difference between the original and the replica, then is there even such a thing as the real you? This thought haunts you through the day. Every decision you make, what if it's not yours, but merely part of a sequence copied from the original person? If you were replaced while sleeping and didn't notice, would your life still belong to you? Consider this. Every second, your body changes. Cells die, regenerate. Even your thoughts shift constantly. Over years, nothing inside you is the same as when you were born. Yet you feel like the same person. So, what holds your identity together? If someone copied you every night and erased the previous version, and you never noticed the transfer, would your life still be yours? If the you from yesterday no longer exists in the material sense, but the current you believes it was once them, is that enough? This paradox cuts through the illusion of a stable self. It forces you to ask, is the I think I am merely a story told by memory, a fragile narrative that can be mimicked, edited, or reset? And if that's true, then identity is not a fact, it's a feeling, and feelings can lie. The unlived life paradox. You live your life step by step, day by day, choice by choice. You eat the cereal instead of the toast. You stay silent instead of speaking up. You take the job offer, or you don't. One path collapses into another, and each decision you make kills an infinity of others. But where do those unlived lives go? Do they disappear? Or do they still linger somewhere, echoing with versions of yourself who are no less real than you? Imagine this. Every time you make a decision, the universe splits, not physically, not like in science fiction, but conceptually. There's a version of you who went left and one who went right, a version who kissed them and one who walked away, a version who followed a dream and ended up homeless, a version who gave up early and found a strange peace in boredom. These lives are not fiction. They are part of you, the you that could have been. And that's the paradox. Your life is only one expression of who you are. The rest of you has been exiled to the realm of possibility. You feel incomplete because you are. You feel restless because somewhere deep down, you know your existence is just one slice of an infinite being. You might believe you are a person who's good or bad, brave or cautious, kind or cruel. But how can that be true when so many versions of you are just one choice away? If one decision can redefine your entire personality, then what is your true nature? Does it exist? Or are you a blank surface, filled in by circumstance? This paradox reveals something brutal. You will never meet the version of yourself who lived the life you sometimes dream about. You will never become the musician, the traveler, the monk, the villain, the child who never grew up. You will never know what it felt like to be them, and yet they haunt you. They call to you at night when the room is silent and the ceiling won't stop staring. But what if this haunting is not a burden, but a gift? You carry all these versions inside you. They aren't gone. They are imagined into being every time you wonder, what if? And maybe, just maybe, they're wondering the same about you. You envy them, the fearless version, the reckless one, the one who left everything behind. But what if they envy you too? What if, in the life where you left, your other self is lying awake, wondering what might have happened if they'd stayed? The paradox deepens when you realize this. To fully live one life, you must kill every other. To choose is to destroy. Freedom is a knife that carves the future, but bleeds the possible. So, what should you do with the weight of the unlived? Maybe you carry them like ghosts, not to mourn, but to honor. You are the tomb of 1,000 selves, and every time you act with intention, you resurrect one, not as a regret, but as a tribute. The unlived lives don't die, they become shadows that define your shape. You are not just the life you're living, you are also the sum of what you refused, what you feared, what you never dared to try. And yet, in refusing them, you gave this life its form. Without them, this version of you wouldn't exist. Every regret you have is proof that something mattered. Every unlived path is a mirror, showing you the edges of yourself. And in seeing them, you learn what kind of person you've chosen to be. But then again, did you really choose? You were shaped by things you never picked: your parents, your genes, your culture, your fears. So maybe those other versions were never possible. Maybe free will is an illusion, and your unlived lives were never yours to begin with. In that case, you are a single stream, flowing where the terrain allows. But even in a river, there are eddies, moments where the current slows and circles back, moments when, even if for a second, it feels like you could have gone another way. These are the cracks in the illusion. The paradox is that you are free and not. You are a singular, and infinite. You are the one who lives and the one who wonders what living means. Sleep now. Let the other versions of you walk in the dark. They don't hate you. They are you, and they're just as lost as you are. The forgotten dream paradox. You wake up, heart pounding, unsure why. You can feel the remnants of something strange, a dream slipping through your fingers, like ash in the wind. There was someone in it, maybe a version of you, maybe not, but the feeling remains. A memory of something important, and now it's gone. What if you never truly wake up? What if the life you're living is the dream, and the moment you die is just the moment you awaken somewhere else? If that were true, you would never know it. You would cling to this world, convinced of its permanence, building memories inside a fragile illusion. And every time you fall asleep, perhaps another you dreams this one into existence, an endless loop of nested realities, each thinking it is the real one. Now ask yourself, how would you know this world is real? Your senses? They can be tricked. Pain, joy, taste, time, all of them can be simulated. Your memories? They could be fabricated. You trust your past because it feels consistent. But a dream feels consistent too, until it unravels. Here's where the paradox lives. Your only proof that this world is real is your belief in it. But belief is shaped by the very world you're trying to prove. You are a prisoner, trying to verify the walls of your cell, using bricks from the same prison. Even science can't save you. All instruments you invent to measure reality are built inside the same reality you're questioning. It's like using a mirror to check if you're invisible. So here's a question that turns everything upside down. If dreams can feel real and reality can be doubted, then what separates the two? Is it time, detail, consequence? But dreams have time. They have pain. They have regrets. You've felt guilt inside them. You've cried inside them. What more do you need? Imagine this. You live an entire lifetime in a dream. You love, you fail, you make art, you lose someone. Then you wake up, and only minutes have passed in the waking world. Does that life you lived still count? Or was it nothing? Now reverse it. What if this life is only minutes long in another world and you're about to wake up? If that's the case, how would it change the way you live? Would you still waste time being afraid of what others think? Would you still suppress your curiosity? Would you still avoid risk in the name of safety when safety itself might be an illusion? What if death is not the end, but simply the moment the dream ends and another begins? There's a terrifying beauty here. If none of this is real, then nothing can truly hurt you. But if none of this is real, then what meaning can anything have? Yet maybe meaning doesn't come from truth. Maybe meaning comes from experience. You can cry in a dream. You can love in a dream. You can regret things you did not do. If those feelings are real to you, then maybe they are real enough. Perhaps the weight of something doesn't come from its permanence, but from the way it moves you while it lasts. You say, but dreams vanish. So does life. You say, but dreams are false. So are memories. You say, but dreams don't matter. Then why do you wake up in tears? There is a version of you, maybe this one, who never wakes up, who lives inside this dream forever, who keeps asking questions even when there are no answers, who walks through life like it's both real and imaginary, both sacred and absurd. That version of you is no less valid than any other. So, if this world is a dream, then dream well, hurt less, love more, laugh without needing a reason, cry without needing permission. Don't wait to be sure before you care. Certainty is a cage, faith is a bridge. Now, here is the final twist of the paradox. If you believe reality is a dream, you risk detachment. But if you accept that it might be a dream and still choose to care, to grow, to suffer for what you believe in, then maybe you've found something deeper than truth. You've found purpose in the face of nothingness. The forgotten dream paradox doesn't ask you to escape life. It asks you to wake up inside it, to see it not as false, but as fragile, and to live not because it will last, but because it won't. And somewhere, in a deeper place, another version of you is dreaming this moment, watching you sleep, hoping you understand the paradox of the perfect moment. There is a moment you keep chasing. You don't know exactly when it happened, or if it ever did, but you remember how it felt. A moment when everything made sense, when the world was still and vast, when you felt both powerful and peaceful. Maybe it was when you stood alone on a quiet road at night. Maybe it was the way someone once looked at you, or a breeze that brushed your skin like it remembered you. A fleeting second when the world wasn't just noise, it was meaning. You spend your life trying to recreate it. You travel, you work, you fall in love, you stare at the stars, you scroll endlessly, but it never fully returns. And here's the paradox: the perfect moment only exists in memory, and memory lies. The more you try to recapture it, the further it slips away. You remember the feeling, but not the facts. You remember the light, but not the shadows. You remember the peace, but not the boredom. You remember the clarity, but not the confusion that led to it. What you're chasing isn't the past. It's a story your mind wrote when it was lonely. Yet you keep chasing. There's a deeper truth hidden beneath your longing. Maybe that moment wasn't special. Maybe you were. Maybe for one brief second, you were completely present. And that's what made the world feel perfect. Not because it changed, but because you did. So the more you search outwardly, the further you drift from the real source. You keep climbing the mountain, hoping the sky will shift. But the sky was never the problem. It was your eyes. The paradox grows. The harder you try to return to that moment, the more you betray the very thing that made it possible: your surrender. You didn't chase that moment when it arrived. You didn't demand it. You didn't analyze it. You simply existed, and it came. Now you grasp for it. You suffocate it with expectations. You weaponize the memory against yourself. Why can't I feel that again? But no moment can bloom under pressure, and nothing true can be repeated. Still, the ache remains. And maybe that's the most honest part. Maybe the longing itself is the miracle, not the moment, but the ability to feel that something once mattered that much. You see someone smile across a room, and your heart breaks open. You feel the weight of silence in a morning fog. You hold a hand and forget your name. These moments can't be captured, only lived. And once they're gone, they rot in memory, becoming sweeter than they ever were. Here's the cruel twist. By the time you realize something was perfect, it's already over. That's the tragedy of time. You live forwards, but understand backwards. Meaning always arrives too late. So, how do you live a life filled with meaning when meaning only appears in retrospect. You slow down, you breathe, you stop demanding magic and start noticing it. You make space for wonder without asking it to stay. You let moments be incomplete. You let them pass. You let them hurt. You don't own them. You witness them. But that's hard because we want to capture life like a photograph, to keep the sunset in our pocket, to freeze someone's laugh forever. But nothing alive wants to be trapped. The more tightly you hold, the faster it slips. So maybe the perfect moment isn't one you find, but one you allow. You stop seeking and you start listening. And then, without warning, something small breaks through. A glint of light on glass, a word you didn't expect, a breeze that carries a scent from your childhood. And there it is again, that impossible feeling, not because you earned it, but because you finally stopped needing it. And then it's gone. You didn't get to keep it, but you got to be it. Here's the final layer of the paradox. You never left the perfect moment. You only convinced yourself that it ended. But now is the only thing that ever existed. Now is the only thing that's real. The moment you're in, even this one, this breath, this heartbeat, is just as sacred as the one you miss. You just haven't learned how to see it yet. The perfect moment is not a place you return to. It's a place you remember how to enter. And the door is always open. The identity illusion paradox. You wake up in the morning and remember who you are, your name, your past, the things you like, the things you hate, the people who hurt you, the people you love, the goals you've set, the fears you carry. The mirror confirms it. The mind agrees. This is me, you say. This is who I've always been. But what if it isn't? What if the person you believe yourself to be is not a truth, but a habit? You remember your story like a movie, events stitched together by meaning, but meaning is not memory, and memory is not fact. Every time you recall something, it changes. You fill in gaps, you soften certain edges, you sharpen others, you distort, you omit, you bend time, you assign motive, you create a version that feels consistent. But feelings aren't evidence, and yet this version becomes yourself. The paradox begins here. To have a self, you must forget all the times you've changed, all the versions you've already abandoned, all the selves you buried to become this one. You used to think differently. You used to want differently. You used to react differently. You've already died hundreds of times, but memory smooths it over, creates a through line. This is who I am. But who is saying that? And to whom? You were a child once. You were wild. You were silent. You were chaos. You were purity. You were naive. You were cruel. You were kind. You were a thousand things. Now you are this. But only for a moment. The paradox deepens. You fear changing because you want to be authentic, but you are already a patchwork of past selves who contradicted each other. You are built on inconsistency. You crave continuity, but you are constant mutation, pretending to be a fixed point. You create an identity and then become imprisoned by it. You say, I'm not the kind of person who, and close doors forever. You say, I could never do that, and sentence yourself to sameness. You say, this is just how I am, and stop listening to who you're becoming. The longer you live, the more your identity hardens, and the harder it is to escape. But here is the fracture. Identity is not a discovery. It is a choice. You do not find yourself like a fossil. You sculpt yourself like clay, slowly, clumsily, painfully, and then, sometimes, beautifully. But the clay resists because change feels like death, letting go of who you were, even if who you were is miserable, feels like betrayal. You become loyal to your suffering. You build an altar to your patterns. You cling to your trauma because it's familiar. You defend your wounds like land, because without them, who would you be? That's the paradox. To grow, you must betray the self you used to protect. You must become a stranger to your own reflection. You must say, I was wrong about me. You must say, I don't know who I am yet. And that is terrifying, because if you're not who you were, and you're not yet who you will become, then what are you? You're a question, and questions can't be controlled. That's why people cling to identity, because it gives them a shape, a border, a name, even if it's false, even if it hurts. But some part of you remembers the truth. You are not a noun, you are a verb. You are not a title, you are a process. You are not an answer, you are the tension before one. You are not your thoughts, thoughts pass. You are not your emotions, emotions shift. You are not your habits, habits break. You are not your memories, memories lie. You are not even your body. The cells inside you replace themselves like a silent rebellion. You have lived in 100 bodies already. So what remains? Consciousness, the quiet watcher behind the noise, the one who notices the change, the one who sees the thoughts but does not become them, the one who sits behind the curtain. But even this, too, may be an illusion, because if you try to stare directly at that watcher, if you look for your true self, you will find nothing, not because nothing is there, but because you are the thing doing the looking. And so, the paradox completes itself. The self is both illusion and truth, both mask and mirror, both ghost and home. You must forget yourself to find yourself. You must stop looking to see. You must become lost to realize you were never anything but the path. There is no final self, only layers, only moments of temporary coherence, only flickers of identity dancing through time. Who you are is who you are becoming, and who you are becoming is always a choice, the choice that chooses you. You believe you make choices. You believe that behind every action, there's a decider, a conscious spark that weighs, evaluates, and selects between alternatives. You imagine yourself standing at forks in the road, choosing your direction. But what if choice is not freedom, but reaction? You walk into a room and feel something. You can't explain why. You're drawn to one person. You avoid another. You like this painting. You hate that sound. You want this food. You dread that place. You think you're choosing, but you're reacting to layers you don't see. Your biology, your memories, your fears, your wounds, your culture, your hunger, your fatigue, your history, your chemistry, your hormones, your traumas, all hidden behind a curtain. But the decision feels conscious. I chose this, you say. But did you? The paradox begins when you ask, who is the I that chooses? You feel like a unified self, but neuroscience tells us there is no central decider, no command center, just patterns of activity, just signals, just electrochemical noise that somehow results in a sense of intention. But when you try to locate that intention, pin it down, it slips through you. Your brain makes decisions milliseconds before you become aware of them. The body moves before you say yes. The mind catches up and invents a reason. The illusion of control is retroactive. You are the narrator of a story already in motion. So, if you don't truly choose, are you responsible? You punish yourself for the bad choices. You reward yourself for the good ones. But what if the choice was never yours? What if the conditions were always in place? The parents you had, the experiences you absorbed, the friends who influenced you, the beliefs you inherited, the random event that pushed you slightly off course, just enough to change everything. You did not choose your nature. You did not choose your nurture. You did not choose the moment you were born. You did not choose your language, your genes, your body, your first fears, your first joy. You woke up into a machine already moving. So when you choose between two things, is it a real choice? Or is one already more likely? You pick the one that feels better, the one that aligns with what you already want. But you didn't choose what you want. You discovered it, or it discovered you. So, did you ever choose at all? That's the paradox. You are held responsible for a self you did not design. You are judged for a past you were shaped into. You are praised for what was handed to you. You are condemned for what you lacked. And yet, you feel the weight of your choices. You feel the burden of, I could have done differently. You replay moments where you chose wrong, as if replaying will change it, as if shame will retroactively edit your story. But it won't. It only chains you deeper. So what's the escape? If free will is an illusion, what do we do with regret? If we don't control who we are, how do we grow? The answer lives in another layer. Because maybe the question isn't, did I choose? But, can I respond? Maybe freedom isn't in the moment of choice, but in the awareness of it. Maybe the trap is thinking of yourself as a single self. You are not one identity making one choice. You are a constellation of fragments, and some of them are waking up. Some of them are watching. Some of them can interrupt the pattern. You may not have chosen your pain, but you can choose how you meet it. You may not have chosen your impulses, but you can breathe through them. You may not have chosen the cards, but you can choose how to play. And yes, your ability to choose that too is conditioned. But awareness is a strange glitch. It allows the program to observe itself. And in that space, new possibilities flicker. You cannot be free from your past, but you can be free within it. You cannot erase the architecture of your mind, but you can learn its rooms. You cannot undo what shaped you, but you can sculpt what you become. This is the paradox. You don't choose what you want, but you can want to choose better. And sometimes, wanting is enough, because wanting plants a seed, and the seed becomes thought, and the thought becomes pause, and the pause becomes silence. And in that silence, you hear the next impulse coming, and you do not follow it, not because you chose, but because something deeper moved, something silent, something watching, something sacred. And that may be freedom, not the freedom to do anything, but the freedom to not obey, the freedom to hesitate, the freedom to disobey your programming for 1 second longer than usual. And in that second, something changes. You change. The moment becomes yours, not because you owned it, but because you forgave it. You forgave yourself for not being in control. You forgave yourself for being human. You forgave yourself for the illusion. And in that forgiveness, paradox collapses. You are not free, but you are alive. And that is enough. The eternity inside a moment. You always think of eternity as something distant, something waiting for you at the edge of death, a realm outside of clocks, a silence so vast it erases memory, pain, and form. But what if eternity isn't a place? What if it's a direction, not forward into time, but inward into experience? You live in a world of seconds, minutes, schedules. You rush through them, chasing the next. You say, I don't have time, as if time is a resource, something owned. But you don't own time. Time owns you. And still you pretend you are late to something, that if you run fast enough, you will arrive. But where are you going? You think the goal is to escape time, to find the timeless. But here is the paradox. The timeless is already here. It exists not outside of life, but inside it. Not beyond death, but within the gaps. The breath you ignore, the sound you forget to hear, the face you look past, the now you never enter. And yet, you've touched it before. That single moment when time slowed down, not in the movies, but in real life. When someone spoke and you truly listened. When the sky turned gold and you forgot your name. When grief froze everything into silence. When love made the clock irrelevant. That moment was eternity. It just didn't last. Not because it couldn't, but because you couldn't stay. You were pulled back into thought, into fear, into the story of self and consequence. You stepped out of now into tomorrow, and the gate closed. But eternity never left. It waits in every moment you rush past. You think of time as a river, moving forward. But what if you are not riding the river? What if you are the current? What if time is not passing by? You are passing through time. You imagine the past as something behind you, but your memories are not static. They change every time you visit them. The past is not behind you. It's inside you. And the future is not ahead. It is a story written by your fears and hopes, projected outward like light through fog. So, what is the present? It's not a dot between past and future. It's the only thing that has ever been real. But you rarely live in it. You live in delay, in replays, in anticipation. You chase the next moment as if the current one isn't enough. You scroll, you wait, you distract, you try to get somewhere else, and yet, all meaning lives in the now. Every kiss, every loss, every realization, every change has happened in a moment, not across time, but in time. A single second where something broke, or bloomed, or ended, or began. That second was enough to change your life, not because it was long, but because it was deep. Depth is not measured in hours. Some moments last forever. You remember them, not because of duration, but intensity. A word someone spoke that shattered you, a silence that said everything, a decision that was over in a blink but altered your path, a first touch, a final breath. You return to these moments not with clocks, but with your soul. That's how eternity works. It doesn't stretch across time, it punctures it. And every once in a while, when the noise dims, you feel it again. A strange stillness, not peace, but presence, a weightless kind of knowing. The realization that you're not moving through time, but that time is unraveling inside you. You see something ordinary, a bird crossing a power line, and for a second, it breaks you. Why? You don't know. Maybe because it was too real, too here, too alive, the kind of real that makes everything else feel artificial. And you stop. You don't take a photo. You don't name it. You just breathe. And in that breath, everything returns. Every other moment folds into this one. Past, future, illusion, gone. There is only now. And now is not a moment. Now is a doorway. You don't walk through it. You fall. You fall into something that doesn't speak, doesn't think, doesn't explain. It just is. And you become it. Not separate, not watching. You are the bird. You are the line. You are the wind. You are the memory watching itself unfold. And then you blink, and it's over. But it doesn't leave you. Not fully. It stains you with truth. And for days after, you wonder, what was that? You try to recreate it. You chase it again. But it doesn't work like that. You can't demand the infinite. You can only prepare for it, make room for it, and maybe, if you're lucky, it arrives, quietly, unannounced, like it never left. And maybe it didn't. Maybe it's always here. Maybe eternity isn't a place we go when we die. Maybe it's what we touch when we stop resisting life. Maybe it lives in surrender. Maybe the moment you stop trying to control everything, you finally feel the part of you that never needed control. Maybe all this time, you've been trying to outrun death, when the secret is to walk slower, to look, to feel, to let this moment ruin you, heal you, empty you, wake you. Because here is the final paradox. You are made of time, but you are not bound by it. You are the clock and the silence between ticks. You are the story and the breath that tells it. You are temporary and eternal all at once. You are now, and now is forever.